Welcome to Go Local Live. I am live in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center on 90 Way Boston Street with Bob Whitcomb here, who we're going to talk briefly and shortly with. But I did want to update folks on a breaking development here. The state police have released documents pertaining to the 38 Studios investigation. These documents were released this afternoon. There's preliminary coverage on Go Local if you check out the homepage. Starting to go through these documents here. Certainly you're going to break down what's contained in them. Again, Go Local had sued the governor and the state police for these documents back last fall. We're going through the legal process. The governor had said about several weeks ago that she was going to order the state police to do so. Again, it's interesting to see so far what's in there and what's not in there. So stay tuned to Go Local as we break down these documents. Are you surprised that they released the documents?
A bit. Well, I think the timing, I thought we'd have to wait a few more weeks maybe. You know, it raises the interesting question, how much of a freedom of information element is there in this, you know, as opposed to, say, the feds, which has a pretty powerful, even though sometimes unwieldy, freedom of information system. Should Rhode Island have a better freedom of information law?
Well, we'll see.
That raises, there's some sort of structural issues, legal issues.
There are structural, there are legal issues, and I think one of the things that we are going to find out going through, again, is what is in there and what is not in there. Now, if there's information that's been redacted, as again we're going through, I think that might even raise more questions to citizens.
Right. If there are, you know, if there's seeming redactions of what some people might suspect to be criminal behavior, and I think, I doubt it, actually. I think most of it will just find incompetence, wishful thinking, stupidity, and ignorance.
Well, it's interesting.
Much more likely, especially wishful thinking, that this one company with this famous guy, he's sort of the front man for it, Mr. Schilling, would somehow save the state in the midst of a seemingly interminable recession.
And speaking of wishful thinking, your column last week kicked off with the state's corporate subsidies and the fact that we had former Governor Link Chaffian talking about the candy store approach. So wishful thinking, what's your thoughts?
No, I generally agree with him. Obviously, you have to look at every case separately, but I think generally giving special benefits to individual companies is not a good idea because everybody else has to pay for that. Now, you could make the argument if a company is really sexy and everybody, you know, sort of household name, that perhaps if they move in, and the chances are they aren't going to move in forever. If they move in, they'll sort of raise the sex appeal of Rhode Island or whatever jurisdiction is giving away these things. But generally, the numbers on this are not very good. Economic development by goodies, whether it's a stadium or individual company, you look across the country, and there's actually been a lot of economic science on this. Generally, it doesn't pan out very well. There's also the assumption that somehow a company moving 75 people here is going to be here forever and will be 750 or 750,000 people in 20 years. No, companies, they come and they go, they break their promises, a new CEO comes in, and the new CEO wants to live in, you know, Seattle or something instead of here. Like Jeff Imel, decided he wanted to live in Boston, so they moved to Boston. Now, you know, I think they'll be there for a while because they're building this big thing on the waterfront. And I think that's one reason we got one of their little operations here, because the headquarters is going to be closer. But I spent many years, as you know, as a business editor, and I don't believe any promises from any company about anything. Everything is tentative. They will get as much as they can from each taxing jurisdiction. And they feel no compunction at all about bailing out. Often without warning. Happens all the time.
It happens all the time. And you've been in the studio here, and I tell folks we can see the Superman building from where we stand.
Yeah.
What's the best use of the Superman building as they talk again now in 2017? It's been empty for years.
That's a great question. I think conceivably you could put a bunch of small companies in there, little startups.
And Bill Fisher did talk about talking with business.
Some design stuff. One area Rhode Island has sort of international comparative advantage is design. I think we underrate this. Tremendous. I think they could put more design-related stuff in there. On the other hand, maybe not, and they should tear the whole thing down. I don't know why everybody's so in love with it. I know this is politically incorrect around here. It's sort of a somewhat impressive old Art Deco building, but maybe there just isn't the density of wealth around here to pay to fix it up. The equivalent of this is in Boston, the United Shoe Machinery Building, which is a glorious Art Deco thing, stepped because they had stepping laws, gold top. But what you have in Boston is one of the great centers of money in the world. And we don't have that. We don't have that kind of density here. So I think the best you could do with that, best use a whole bunch of little design firms, and presumably maybe, probably at the top, some fancy apartments.
Well, we'll
The
see.
view is very impressive.
The view
Yeah.
is impressive. They've been
Yeah.
having tours that have been selling out with the
Yeah,
Providence
everybody's
Preservation
very,
Society. Everyone
very
wants to check it
curious.
out.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather they not tear it down, but I wouldn't weep too much. It's not that. It's actually not that distinguished, frankly. The stonework is sort of boring and ugly, and I just don't.
It is
yeah.
iconic for the fact that it is just the anchor down here in downtown.
Well, yeah, it sort of soars because of the stepping, but it's not. It's not the Chrysler building.
So again, Bill had told us, this time around they're looking to get more business. And
Yeah,
remember, previously they were looking primarily at apartments.
Right.
And they had
condos, maybe either for
and they
rent
had
and condos.
they had
yeah.
come with that ask, and that was unsuccessful.
Well,
so they're back at the drawing
You
board.
need wealth creators, so you need company. I mean, this business, everything's going to be real estate, everything's going to be restaurants. No, that's secondary. First, you need to create money that people can use to buy condos and go to restaurants, this kind of thing. We tend to get everything all reversed around here about the way it should be. It's just, and we do have design. We do have some areas of expertise. We know a lot about the oceans. We should focus on them.
Speaking of money, one of the other things you'd written about in
Yeah.
your piece this week was the travel expenses of the president.
Yeah, astronomical. Yeah, at the current rate, the Trump family, the Trump assemblage is spending 10 times the rate of Barack Obama, who was the object of much scorn for flying off to Hawaii, I guess.
Had vacations in Hawaii.
But now we're paying for all these Trump people to, among other, go on vacations in very fancy places, but also for their business operations. All, fly off to Paris or whatever. So you're talking about probably well over $100 million a year to pay for the Trumps. And the irony of this, and this is unavoidable the way that the Secret Service is set up. The irony of all this is Mr. Trump has always been assiduously good at avoiding paying taxes himself. It just I won't call it tax evasion, but just magical in his ability to go year after year and pay little or no taxes. And here, so he's, on one hand, we've got that. On the other hand, he's going to be by a factor of 10 the most expensive president.
I mean, do you think anyone's going to make a call for this? I mean, he goes down to Florida.
Yeah.
The first lady is in New York for the time being before she moves to
the son is going off to Tahiti or something. I mean, they're constantly traveling. We're paying for this great jet-setting operation. But it's not illegal. I just think the public should be aware of the ironies of this.
And speaking of paying for things, another piece that I enjoyed reading about in your column last week, lowering the Medicare age to 50.
Yeah, I'm not the first one to suggest that. I was actually talking to my friend John McGlyver about that. It was really, the idea, I guess, I'm trying to move to Medicare for all.